I mean, obviously, since it's common salt, I mean, she's obviously taking in a hell of a lot of common salt anyway.
Yes, oh, sure.
How does the one...
Well, the truth is nobody knows. I don't know, nor does anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, the question is, do you think that because we don't know and because it seems implausible, it can't work? And that may be where you and I differ. Actually, the most recent problem was your skin, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah, my hands, they've cleared up quite well. And my scalp's a lot better.
While patients like these provide positive anecdotes for homeopathy, subjective stories are not enough for science. I want to pin down precisely what double-blind trials have been conducted.
Over 100 have been done, some by me. On the whole, they're positive. And I've worked hard on it. But in the face of great scepticism, in the face of many people who say, oh, well, yeah, we're not going to fund homeopathy, it's got to be a load of rubbish.
Why do you think they say that if there really are controlled trials which show...
Well, I think you're much better placed to comment on it because you're the sort of person who says that.
Well, because I have read studies which have sort of meta-analyses and things which suggest that, yes, occasionally there's a slight suggestion of something, maybe a slight suggestion there, but if you take all the studies that have been done, it doesn't add up in the way that...
Oh, I don't agree with that at all.
Now, if a double-blind controlled trial really does show that it works, then that suggests we're dealing with an entirely new force of physics, something unknown to science.
Well, I think there's a slight exaggeration. I mean, there are various hypotheses. Remarkably, nobody knows what the structure of liquid water is. So there is room, you know, for a phenomenon analogous to, I'm not saying the same, but analogous to the storage of information by a magnetic medium, by a floppy disk or a videotape.
Yes. If I were a doctor doing what you do and was convinced that it really worked, I would drop everything and really try to demonstrate it and win the Nobel Prize for Physics. I mean, it would be an astonishing, totally astonishing finding.
That's, to be honest, one of the main reasons I got into it. Plain ambition got me into it in the first place. But I agree, it would be nice to see, you know, a really serious programme of research done on it.
Well, you're saying it has been done, and...
Well, no, I'm saying that quite a lot of research has been done. I don't claim it's conclusive.
Well, why not? I mean, it sounds as though...
Well, because it's very diffuse. And, of course, it does depend what question you're asking. You know, are you saying, does it benefit people? Do people feel better? And I think, actually, there's no doubt about that people who go to homeopathic hospitals who have homeopathic treatment do feel better. But, of course, you will say that's all because you're nice to them.
This is all rather contradictory, so let's be clear about the latest evidence. In 2005, the medical journal The Lancet surveyed all the meta-analyses, the analyses of the analyses, and failed to find any reliable effect of homeopathy. Tellingly, for me, in the bigger trials, less prone to chance anomalies, homeopathy was more likely to show zero demonstrable effect. And yet, despite the lack of robust evidence, homeopathy thrives. Many clinicians look on in horror at the unlevel playing field of trials and evidence for medical licensing. In 2004, American trials seemed to show that the drug Herceptin could halve the death rate for a particularly virulent form of breast cancer. This was a major breakthrough. Patients understandably clamored for the new drug, but unlike in the world of homeopathy, the claims of scientific medicine are tested rigorously, and that takes time. Accordingly, the license was delayed.
We went through a period of a year or two when Herceptin, quite rightly in my opinion, was held up for the treatment of breast cancer until all the evidence was there. So we had extremely rigid cost-effectiveness analysis before we could use Herceptin. And, okay, there was a short passage of time when it seemed unfair. But you compare that when actually lives are lost, because we're talking about life-threatening disease with drugs which actually save lives, to the way that ineffective, irrational remedies are just being nodded through. I mean, it makes you weep. The pharmaceutical industry takes a lot of knocks, and yes, drugs are very expensive. But the reason they're so expensive is there may be 20 years of R&D to get to an effective product. Every step of the way is checked and double-checked. And now, through the back door, we're getting a class of compound being allowed into the marketplace with a license with no such evidence of efficacy.
I can't understand how you could even
But if homeopathy isn't tested properly or flunks its trials, then why do homeopaths remain popular?
A lot of them owe their success not to the homeopathy, but to the fact they are decent people. They have time, they're compassionate, they look the patient in the eye, they talk to someone for an hour. These are nice people. I would like to recruit these really nice people to practice proper medicine. And then, in the end, what we've got are proper doctors, empathetic doctors, who will, in addition to the placebo effect of being that kind of physician, they can also add in truly effective drugs.
Clinical trials show that homeopathy simply cannot match up with safe chemical drugs. Yet in the realm of petty ailments like sore eyes or itchy scalp, homeopathy is probably innocent enough. Because it's really all about attentive doctors spending time listening to the patient.
That one is still, the right one is still a tiny bit puffy, isn't it? Or is it?
Well, it's always like that.
Then giving them something that makes them feel better, precisely because it's supposed to make them feel better. I think it's all down to the placebo effect. I want to find out if that's the key to alternative medicine's grip on public confidence.
I would disagree with you that I think something is being done. And why are we so good at placebo and the orthodox medicine is not?
Well, they're pretty good at it too.
Alternative health remedies are swamping us. We've seen how most are not properly tested, how they undermine science and delude the public.
Hello.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. You want a health kinesiology session?
I'd like to, yes,
Do
please.
you know what it is?
I'm hoping to learn.
Okay, have a lie down.
But the irony may be that in this very delusion lies their success.
What we do in kinesiology is we clear energy blockages in the meridian system. There are 14 meridians or energy pathways that run up and down the body.
Can they be seen with a microscope? Can you sort of look at them and...
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
I'm like the library, all right? I've got all these energy patterns stored in me, and you're just picking the one that you want. And we have baker's yeast here, all right? So I'm just going to touch a point right by your ear. This is the test for allergy. There's just no tension. It just releases completely. Okay, you want this fixed?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I have to admit I'm rather enjoying this kinesiology. I feel very relaxed. But what is helping me here? The tapping of my feet? The feel of a kind woman's hands? Or some sort of expectation that what it's doing is therapeutic? What I'm talking about is the placebo effect, treatment through the power of suggestion.
And I'm going to hold points on your head, okay? Right here and here. And what I want you to do is think the phrase, fear of being ignored.
Human beings have evolved extraordinarily sophisticated self-healing mechanisms. Above all, a powerful immune system.
Fear of being ignored.
Could it be that interaction with any kind of healer acts to focus our self-healing abilities? Some evolutionary psychologists believe this may be the entirely rational explanation behind irrational remedies.
Fear of being ignored.
It works because most of medicine, in fact, is a case of self-cure. When the pain goes down after taking placebo medicine, or under the influence of acupuncture, for example, it's our own minds which have reduced the pain.
Yes, surely what you're saying is that we get better anyway. Why then would alternative medicine be better? Surely an ordinary doctor might do that.
Real medicine does the same, but I think we shouldn't underestimate the powers, and sometimes the superior powers, of people who go under funny names or have funny authorities written up on the wall and so on, because some people respond to that information much more than they would to the conventional information in a doctor's surgery.
Nevertheless, I have a sort of hankering after what's actually true. How far do you think so-called alternative practitioners believe the mumbo-jumbo that they say is the theory behind their potions, and how far do they know that it's a placebo? Are they deceiving or are they self-deceiving?
I think in many cases they're self-deceiving. Well, it's not even self-deceiving. They have seen in their own experience that these treatments work, so they believe in them. They have then to invent a rationale, some spiritual or magical explanation of what they're doing. You know, supposing you were a miracle worker in the 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, supposing you were Jesus and seeing that, you know, lame men got up and walked when you told them to, you'd be rather impressed with yourself, wouldn't you?
Yes.
But I'm sure it was a placebo effect.
Yes, quite, yes.
I still believe scientific medicine offers more effective and more honest treatment. But I accept Nick Humphrey's point that alternative medicine is peculiarly well positioned to dish out placebos. In the 24/7 globalized rat race of the 21st century, people are yearning for time out. Visiting an alternative healer provides an hour for unwinding and contemplation. And if you're lucky, exposure to piped whale music. Much of alternative medicine is about cosseting, about making the patient feel pampered, feel as though they're the center of attention.
Okay, so comfort's the name of the game here, so get as comfortable as you can. So literally all I want you to do is just to relax your head, let go. So the first thing I have to do is very gently cup and hold here. Now you're going to feel like I'm not doing anything, but it's a very gentle movements.
While in our hard-pressed National Health Service, the patient-doctor encounter lasts on average just 8 minutes.
See the rotation on your left? Yes. Look at the rotation on your right. It's restricted. So this is called an activate.
An alternative healer usually gives you an hour.
Okay? Yeah.
In return for a healthy fee, of course. The Hale Clinic near London's Harley Street offers a huge array of healing arts, ancient and modern. Many may make you think you feel better without having real effect in themselves. In other words, they're placebos.
If I were wanting to exploit the placebo effect, then I would do exactly what you're doing. I would have a large number of different things which look impressive, sound good, use long words, talk about quantum theory, lights flashing, and the whole point is to impress the patient. The whole point is to make the patient feel that something is being done. But
something is being done. I mean, I would disagree with you. That I think something is being done. And why are we so good at placebo and the orthodox medicine is not?
Oh, well, they're pretty good at it too. And I mean, I find when I go to my doctor and he just talks to me, I seem to be miraculously cured as a
well, that's very, very important.
It is very important.
But maybe he's giving you some healing energy, you don't know.
Well, he wouldn't call it that.
Yes, I know he wouldn't call it that, but it could be. It's very, very important to talk, to find out, to take a proper case history. But I don't think it's the only reason. I think complementary medicine has effect over and above that, in my opinion.
Yes. Do you ever do clinical trials on your methods, or do people come in and do them for you?
We've done one study at Hammersmith Hospital on stroke patients that was funded quite a few years ago.
And what treatment were you giving them?
We were giving an Ayurvedic treatment called Mama Massage, and it was only a pilot study, and it showed an improvement in a certain number of patients.
So what was the control in that case?
There wasn't a control, it was just an outcome. It was just a pilot study. Right.
So that's not really a proper trial. Do you think there's a bit of a double standard? Doctors have to spend 6 years qualifying and so on. Isn't it just a bit too easy to set yourself up in practice without qualifications and without...
Which ones were you thinking of?
Well, what about the Ayurvedic one, for example?
Well, there's a 4-year degree course here.
What do they learn? What do they learn?
They learn the principles of Ayurveda. They will learn anatomy and physiology. I mean, it's one of the oldest systems of medicine in the world, Ayurveda.
It's old, yes. Doesn't make it good, though, does it?
No, but it shows it has a lot of experience.
The idea that ancient equals years of accumulated wisdom is a fallacy. It's a teasing irony that the moneyed classes in the rich West, indulging superseded Hindu healing magic when, back in India, people are voting with their feet and opting for modern vaccines and antibiotics. Resuscitating Ayurveda today is rather like bringing back bleeding with leeches. In medicine, ancient also means developed before we understood the causes of disease, before germ theory.